Hi, welcome to Sleepy Jean. Today I'll be reading The Fartionary by Andy Jones. Warning, this book is about one of life's natural processes that is an important part of health and well-being. So if you don't fart, don't read this book. But if you like to let one rip, blow on it. The Fartionary. To John and Gisela Jones, who both knew the value of passage of time and wind. All right, let's see what it's about. Farty facts. Fartology. The biology of the fart. The fart is a mixture of gases. You already knew that, didn't you? But where do these gases come from? Well, there are a few places. Air we swallow, gas made in our stomach and intestines. Let's start with the first one. When you eat or drink, air is taken in with each mouthful as well. If you eat a large amount of food, eat quickly, or even talk while you're eating, you will swallow lots of air. Once this food and air reaches your stomach, it starts being digested. Imagine your stomach as a human washing machine. The food gets turned up and broken down until it's nice and soupy. Mmm, stomach soup. It then moves through the small intestines into the large intestines. But what happens then? The food that hasn't been digested yet is attacked by bacteria in the large intestine. While that bacteria are hard at work breaking down the leftover food, they produce lots of gas. Now, for the good bit, apart from burping, the only way for the swallowed air and gas to get out of your body is through your stomach. Well, actually, through your bottom. And that's how we get the birth of the bottom burp. Farts in motion. How farts travel through the body. A fart travels through your body the same way that food does. When you take a bite of a sandwich and swallow it, it moves through your digestive system via something called, the medical term alert, peristalsis. I don't think I said that correctly. A good way to explain peristalsis is to grab your sausage doorstop. You know, that long snaky thing that sits at the bottom of your back door to stop the wind and creepy crawlies getting in. Pick it up and starting at one end, squeeze it hard. Squeeze it hand over hand along the length of the sausage. This action is exactly like what happens automatically in your body as soon as you eat. Peristalsis. Peristalsis pushes the body and air that you swallow down to your stomach. Some of the swallowed air is released by burping, but the rest travels down into your intestines. More gas is created in the intestines by the hard-working bacteria in there. And where does this leftover air and gas go? It gets propelled through your intestines until it pops out through your bottom. The stinking truth. Why farts smell. Farts smell as a result of what we eat. Most of the gases produced in our bodies, like carbon dioxide, hydrogen, methane, and nitrogen, don't have any smell, but there's one gas, hydrogen sulfide, that is super stinky. Hydrogen sulfide is sometimes called rotten egg gas because that's what it smells like, stinky, disgusting, rotten eggs. You need sulfur to create hydrogen sulfide, which means the more sulfur your diet contains, the stinkier your fluffs will be. Meat, eggs, garlic, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and milk are high in sulfur, so they are perfect for producing super stinky stenches. Beans, like lentil and chickpeas, often cause loud fluffs that don't smell that much. For example, lentil soup is well known to give you lots of gas that isn't too smelly, and it's often fun to let rip. Farty tip number 1. Eat lentil soup to perform a bottom burp concert that will stink out your family and friends. The sphincter symphony, the sound of the sulfur orchestra. The noise of a fart will depend on the tightness of your bottom muscles. It will also depend on the speed of the fart and the amount of gas being produced. Generally, the bigger the fart, the louder it will be. Have you ever noticed that your farts sound louder when you're sitting on the toilet? Or that they sound high and squeaky when you're squeezing your bottom's muscles? Farts can make lots of different sounds. They can be explosive, squeaky, thunderous, poppy, and squelchy. They can also be long or short and have changes in pitch, which, with enough practice, each jingle bells can be squeezed out. All in all, everyone has an orchestra in their bottom with a multitude of sound, tones, and textures, high notes, low notes, and percussive sounds. Some people can even make special effects, sounds, rumbles, slaps, leaky balloons, squeaks, squawks, and squirts. So tune up and let the concert begin. The fart fact file, true or false? The scientific name for fart is flatulence. True. And the scientific name for the gas produced in the stomach and intestine is flatus. Fact number 2. Some people never ever fart. False. Every human being farts. If they say they don't fart, they're fibbing. Big time. You can even fart after you die. Boys farts more than girls. False. We all fart around the same amount, but boys are more likely to fart in public and in front of their friends because it's funny, apparently. The average person farts around 10 to 15 times a day. That's true, although this depends on what you have eaten and how much air you have swallowed. Number 5, girls don't fart. False. Lies, lies, lies. Every human being farts. Number 6, famous people don't fart. Doctors, lawyers, pop stars, actors, politicians, bus drivers, and even teachers fart. Number 7, you fart more in the morning. False. It's different for everyone. Some people fart more in the morning. Some fart more as they're going to sleep at night. Almost everyone farts more after meals. Number 8, girls' farts are smellier than boys. False. Whether a fart is smelly or not depends on what you have eaten, not on whether you're a boy or a girl. Number 9, some farts are odorless to begin with and start to smell. False. If a fart has a smell, it will be there straight away, and it might take a few seconds for it to assault your nostrils. Number 10, a fart is just a burp that comes out the wrong end. False. A burp comes from the stomach and is usually made up of fewer gases than a fart. 11, chewing gum makes you fart more. True. Chewing gum makes you swallow more air and therefore causes more bubbleless butt blow-offs. Number 12, if you hold a fart in too long, it will kill you. False. If you hold in a fart during the day, it will most likely pop out as soon as you relax or fall asleep at night. So the only person it might harm is the person next to you when it eventually sleeps out. The number 13, when you hold in a fart, it disappears. False. When you hold in a fart, it travels back up your intestines only to stick its way out later. 14, farts are louder first thing in the morning. True and false. There is no evidence that farts are louder at certain times of the day. The farts might seem loud in the morning if you launch them in the bathroom because the sound will reverberate off the bathroom tiles. This type of fart is known as morning thunder. 15, baked beans make you fart. Baked beans can make you fart like a popcorn popping machine. The reason is that baked beans have a certain type of sugar in them that is hard for humans to digest. When the sugar reaches our intestines, the bacteria in there goes berserk and make lots of gas. Farty trivia. Break wind. The polite way of talking about farting is to say break wind. Back in the 16th century, people used this expression to describe both burping and farting. And guess what? It's still used to describe farting today. Gone with the wind. Did you know that we swallow around 300 times per day? Each time we swallow, we're taking around 3 millimeters of air. And the more air we're taking, the more windy pops we do. Gulp. The medical term for swallowing too much air is aerophagia. Aerophagia happens when people eat lots of chewing gum, drink too many fizzy drinks, or eat too quickly. People also swallow air when they are nervous or stressed. I have a spelling test this morning. Gulp. And we know the more air we swallow, the more babbling butt blow-offs. Billions of bacteria. Did you know that there are 400 different types of bacteria in your intestines, and the total number of individual bacteria in there is around 100 billion? Wow, that is a lot of bacteria. I hope they all get on. Farty poem, musical farts. Farting can be musical, everyone can play. A tune can be created each and every day. Farting etiquette. The do's and don'ts of babbling bottom. Even though farting is a natural part of life, there are still some do's and don'ts when it comes to that noisy, gassy body function. I call that the rule of bum. When not to. Farting no-go zones. Never let one rip on the dinner table. Ooh. Never let one go in front of a guest unless they are visiting fart doctors. Never let one go when you're giving a speech in front of a large group of people. Never let one go in a bank. People might mistake the sound for a gunshot and think you're robbing the bank. Never let one rip when you're trying to impress a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Never let one rip in the principal office, or else your butt gas won't be the only thing that gets expelled. Ha ha. Never let out a squeaker when you're meeting your girlfriend or boyfriend's father for the first time. Hold it in. Never let one go when you're meeting your girlfriend or boyfriend's mother for the first time. She won't think you're a lovely boy or girl. The main rule of bum is that you don't let your bottom babble in front of people who might be offended by the sound or smell. Remember, some people like to keep their butt blasts private. When to farting safety zones. It's okay to do a butt bomb when you are on your own. It's okay when you're in the bath. It's okay on a footy game. Any loud sounds will be covered by all the screaming and shouting. It's okay when you're outdoors, especially if there's lots of open space around you. It's okay when you're at the beach or swimming in the ocean. It's okay in a doctor's surgery. Doctors are trained to deal with all types of bodily functions. There is nothing your doctor hasn't seen or smelled before. If you do let one rip, your doctor probably won't even react. It's okay when you are with friends, especially if you are a farty party. Farty tip number 2. If you're in public and you absolutely have to let one go, make sure it's in a silent but deadly so no one can hear it. Farty trivia, party pants. An American company has invented special underpants to help people who fart more than usual or whose farts are particularly stinky. Remember, it's normal to fart around 10 to 15 times per day. The underpants have a built-in filter which is meant to get rid of any nasty odors. The maker of the special underpants called it Under-Ease. Say the undies relieve the pain without the shame. That sounds a bit like a nappy to me. Farting fibs. What to say if you let one out in public? Everyone has been in this situation where they have let one out in public and then had been embarrassed because it was so smelly. Here are some excuses that are guaranteed to get you out of even the stinkiest situation. The doggy do excuse. Can you smell that? Oh, someone must have stepped in. Doggy do. The perfect excuse if you let one loose in a group. The curry excuse. Oops, that one just slipped out. Must be the curry I ate last night. Use this excuse when you can't blame anyone else. The dog excuse. Rover, you stink. I better buy you a different brand of dog food. You can use this one at home or even walking your dog. The cat excuse. That smelly little cat, what a little stinker. You can blame the cat anytime. The old lady excuse. I can't believe that old lady just let one go. Unbelievable. You can use this at shops, train station, airports, or nursing homes. The blame is on your body excuse. It wasn't me. Did you do that? Phew, that stinks. You can use this anytime when you're with your friends. The lift excuse. There's no need to say anything at all with this excuse. Just edge away from the person next to you in the lift and raise your eyebrows. The weather excuse. Did you hear that thunder? There must be a storm coming. If you let out an ear-splitting bum bomb, blame the weather. The petrol excuse. Phew, the unleaded petrol stinks like rotten eggs. You can use this if you're in the car and one pops out. The budgie excuse. Wow, I didn't know that budgie's fart smelled that bad. You can use this when you're standing near a bird cage. Farty poem. Marty Farty. Marty Farty had a party, all the gang were there. Mr. Hopper blew a whopper, all went out for air. Farts and fluffs in history. Fart history. Farts in history. As long as humans and animals have existed, there have been farts. Fartings have been around forever in all cultures, tribes, and societies. What do Cleopatra, Alexander the Great, Leonardo da Vinci, Shakespeare, Captain Cook, Ned Kelly, Sir Donald Bradman, Albert Einstein, Ian Thorpe, Michael Clark, and even the Queen of England have in common? The answer is that all these people have created history and by doing amazing things, and all of them have farted in their lives. Remember that no matter who you are, what you do in your life, if you eat, you fart, and that's that. Farting in the ancient Arab world. Historical records tell us that in the ancient Arab world, you are allowed to break wind in public. But if it has a strong smell, you could get yourself in big trouble, especially if you stank up the room in the company of royalty. This person was called a J1 or Fizzler, and he or she could be executed if the fart was thought to be smelly enough. I wonder if they ate eggs back then. Shakespeare and farting. William Shakespeare was born in 1564. Some people think he was the greatest storyteller of all time, but guess what? Shakespeare makes reference to breaking wind in one of his plays. Shakespeare writes, "A man may break a word with you, sir, and words are but wind, eh? And break it in your face, so he broke it not behind." From the play The Comedy of Errors. Farting in World War II. Rumor has it that during World War II, scientists were working on ways to turn farting into a weapon. Apparently, they used to ask soldiers to eat large amounts of baked beans so they could study the fart gas. Farty tip number 3. When breaking wind in public, tell people you are perfecting a new secret weapon for the government. Famous farters. History's most extraordinary fluffers. Fartomaniac. Every now and then, history provides an individual who is so incredibly talented they write themselves into the hearts, minds, and in this case, noses of everyone. So let us stand in awe, or should I say smell in awe, of the man named Joseph Pursol. Funny enough, his surname is pronounced Pursol. Mr. Pousseau was a gifted French performer who went by the stage name of Le Pentoman, which roughly translates as Photomaniac. With a name like that, it's obvious what Mr. Pousseau was gifted at. The story goes that Le Pentoman was practicing long and hard and even endured extreme pain to train his sphincter muscles, which are muscles in your bottom. His bottom was so well trained that he could make his fart sound like a flute and even play well known French songs in tune. I wonder how many orchestras today have farty flautist. Le Pantomime liked to intimate thunderstorms, animal sounds, and even can on fire with his farts. Now that's what I call a weapon, a real gas bomb gun. Le Pantomime would also blow out candles by farting in its direction from 30 centimeters away. Well, that certainly gives a new meaning to the word blowing your own trumpet. In 1892, Le Pantomime starred at the famous Moulin Rouge in Paris. He became the most popular performer of his day. At his show, some people laughed so hard they fainted and had to be treated by nurses who were stationed around the theatre. The nurses were armed with smelling salts to revive the faint-hearted, or should they say, that be the faint-farted. Mr. Methane. There is another famous farter who was born long after Le Pantomime. In fact, he is still performing shows today. He goes by the name of Mr. Methane. Methane is one of the gases that is found in farts. Mr. Methane was born in Macclesfield, Cheshire, in England. Interesting farting fact: England is the baked bean capital of the world. Apparently, Mr. Methane discovered his special talent for farting at the age of 15 when he was doing yoga. He ran to school the next day and squeezed out 20 farts in less than a minute for his group of friends. Wow, that's what I call rapid fire farting. Mr. Methane's act became so popular that he turned into a professional farter. When Mr. Methane performed, he dressed like a caped crusader. He wears a green and purple costume and looks a bit like Superman or Spider-Man. I wonder if spiders fart. In 2009, Mr. Methane even auditioned for the show Britain's Got Talent. He told the judges that he wanted to put the art into fart. He held a microphone to his backside and started performing the Blue Danube waltz with his bottom. Unfortunately, the judges didn't agree with him, and all three of them buzzed him off the show in less than 2 minutes. Obviously, Mr. Methane is a big fan of the original French father of farting, Le Pantomime. He said that he uses the same technique as Le Pantomime after performing on many TV and radio shows. Mr. Methane is certainly doing his explosive best to promote the lost art of singing with your bottom. Farty trivia, record-breaking raspberries. The longest single fart ever recorded was by Bernard Clemens of London, England. Bernard's fart lasted for a whole 2 minutes and 42 seconds. That's a long time to let one rip. Oldest and smelliest word. Did you know that the word fart is one of the oldest words in the English language? It can be traced back to the Old English word Fiortien, which means to break wind. Her royal fartness. Apparently, Queen Victoria of England liked to eat her food quickly, so she was all known for her farting. So next time you let loose, just say you're doing an impression of good old Queen Vic. Farty poem, long lost fart. It's better to have farted and lost than never to have farted at all. Science in the seat of your pants. Fart charts, graphs for gaseous studies. The fart chart and food chart are our way to collect important information relating to your farts. For example, how many times a day you fart, which foods make you fart more, and of course, what type of farts you do. You may have noticed that some days you will be a little more windy than others. There is also a scientific reason for this. With the help of the fart chart and food chart, you'll be able to record all the relevant information and then identify any pattern or unusual windy behavior. The fart chart and food chart will tell you the number of times you fart per day, the number of times you fart per week, the time of the day, morning, afternoon, night, when you fart the most, when you've eaten before a farting episode, the types of food that might increase farting. You'll need a notepad and pen to collect the information each day, and then you can add it to your fart chart and food chart each day. Now, you don't have to record any farts when you are going to the toilet. Those farts don't count. Food chart. Step 1. Look at the good food chart on page 54. You can either draw up your own food chart using felt tip pen and a piece of cardboard or photocopy the blank food chart from page 58. Stick your food chart somewhere you can see every day. For example, on your wardrobe drawer. Step 2. Each day, write down everything you eat on the food chart, and I mean absolutely everything. Every bit of food you eat, including morning tea, afternoon tea, and snacks, has to be written down to make sure the food chart is accurate. Remember, we are searching for the scientific truth here. That means every sandwich, biscuit, lolly, banana, muesli bar, and piece of chewing gum has to be recorded on your food chart. Then you'll be able to study the information you've collected at the end of the week. Food chart, fart chart. Look at the sample fart chart on page 56. You can either make your own fart chart using felt tip pens and a piece of cardboard, or photocopy the blank fart chart from page 60. Keep your fart chart near your food chart. Each day, record the number of farts you do by drawing them on the fart chart. You can also record the type of fart you do by using the fart key below. There's a normal fart, silent but deadly, egg bomb, baked bean bang, loud but not smelly, machine gun, lots of little farts one after the other, thunderbird, the biggest, baddest fart of all. Now that you've drawn on the chart, go fartologist, go. There's the chart if you want to do that. There's a fart chart. Okay, bottom bubbles, H2O farts. Have you ever been relaxing in a bath or swimming pool and released a bottom bubble? I'm sure most of you have. Now, the bottom bubble is more than just a bubble. It's actually visible science. Yes, that's right. When you are in water, you can see the result of gas being released from your body. So the bottom bubble doubles as a science experiment, as well as being a little personal moment shared between you and your gastrointestinal system. A few questions. What is the bubble made up of? Why does the release gas from a bubble and rise to the surface? Does the bubble smell? Answer. The bottom bubble is just a fart trapped in water, and a fart is a mixture of gases, including air and other gases. When you release a bottom bubble in the bath, the water traps the gases together in a ball or bubble. These gases are lighter than water, so that bubble will rise up to the surface where it pops. The bubble bottom is unlikely to smell while it's still underwater, but as soon as it rises to the surface and pops, it will release its tension into the atmosphere. Who thought farting could be so scientific? Bottom bubble experiments. BBE. Number 1, this is experiment to do on your own. Hop in the bath and get comfy. Now slowly release a bottom bubble. Watch it pop and explode as the gas hits the surface. Number 2, this experiment is the same as the first one, but you have to try to catch the bottom bubble as it hits the surface. You can either use your hands to catch it, hold them in a cup shape or plastic bottle to trap the bubble. Once you trap it, have a sniff. The smell will depend on what you have eaten. Number 3, this is a group experiment, preferably done in a swimming pool. You'll need goggles or snorkel masks, and also a group of friends who really want to see science at work. You can take turns being the bottom bubble blower, depending on who's ready to let one fly. The other people need to dive underwater and give the thumbs up signal to the person releasing the butt bomb. Then watch and be amazed. This gas is squeezed out in a bubble, which quickly floats to the surface. Now, if you and your friend are truly daredevils, you can have a sniff as the bubble explodes into the air. Be brave. Farty poem, gust of wind. A belch is a gust of wind that comes from the heart, but if it takes a downward turn, it then becomes a fart. Animal crackers. Which animal do and which animal don't? Science hold the answers to which animal farts and which don't. As we know, farts come from swallowing air and from gas produced in our stomach and intestines. Together, the stomach and intestines are called guts. This air and gas travels through our guts towards our bottom, which is where it pops out as farts. Okay, the key word here is guts. Animals with guts are capable of farting, but do all animals have guts? The answer would be whopping no. Let's look at animals on the next page. Sea sponges. Sea sponges look like plants, but they're actually one of the world's simplest animals. A sea sponge is covered with tiny holes called pores, and it feeds on the nutrients in seawater. A sea sponge is made of just a few different types of cells. It doesn't have a heart, brain, stomach, or intestine, so no guts. So becoming a sea sponge doesn't have any guts. It can't fart. Jellyfish. Guess what? Jellyfish are not actually fish. They belong to a group of animals called invertebrates, which means they don't have a backbone. The body of a jellyfish is shaped like a bell or umbrella with tentacles attached. A jellyfish has no heart, brain, eyes, liver, or guts, but it does have a mouth. Food is taken in through the mouth, and then the leftover push out through the same opening. That means a jellyfish can burp, sort of, but it can't fart. Giant tube worm. These amazing animals live on the seafloor near active volcanoes. They can grow up to 2.4 meters long. They're covered with feathery growth made up of over 200,000 tiny tentacles, but a giant tube worm has no mouth, stomach, or intestines. So how can it live then? Well, scientists believe that hundreds of billions of bacteria live inside the worm. The worm absorbs gases like oxygen from seawater directly through its skin. The bacteria then turns these gases into food for the worm. The relationship between the bacteria and the worm is called, scientific term alert, symbiosis, because they depend on each other for survival. The worms live without ever eating as we know it. What a life. So the verdict is no mouth, no stomach, no intestine, no fart. Farty funny. Why couldn't the skeleton fart? He didn't have the guts. The animal kingdom's smelliest. So we know that any animal with a stomach and intestine or guts can fart. We can identify the most stinky. Snake. Apparently these slithery reptiles pack an awful stink, many times bigger than their size. Lizards, another smelly reptile. Lizards use their farts as a defense weapon, and you thought that they were only skunks, didn't you? You thought that was only skunks, didn't you? Dogs. I know that you know that dogs can release some eye-watering stink bomb. It's because of their diet. Canned dog food is a major gas-producing culprit. Tortoise. The giant land tortoise lives for a very long time. Apparently, its farts also take a long time to ferment, just like ginger beer. But when a giant land turtle releases a fart, it can reduce adults to tears. Lion. The king of the jungle is ranked number 5 on the stinky scale. The culprit is undigested raw meat. Bear. Bears are big and they eat big. And yes, bears fart too. Imagine the first fart after hibernating for 6 months. Woo! Pig. They say you haven't lived until you are downwind of a pig passing wind. Pigs eat anything and everything. Chicken. The chicken can let one rip like no other bird. The plucky, clucky, edible delight not only produces egg, but one of the stinkiest gas of all. Question: do chicken eat eggs or just lay them? Cows have a stomach with 4 compartments, so they have advantage over other animals, more gas-making machines. As a result, cows fart more than most animals. They produce a huge amount of methane gas, which scientists tell us is one of the causes of global warming. Apparently, just one cow gives off apparently 200 litres of methane gas in a single day. Elephant. The elephant deserves a special mention. The mother of all mammals apparently blows out more farts than any other animals in the wild. Termite. Now, you might think because of the tiny size of the termite, it couldn't possibly do any damage in the stench stakes. Well, recent research shows that termites produce loads of methane gas, even more, maybe even more than all of our cars, planes, and factories put together. This is because termites eat wood and needs lots of bacteria in the gut to help them digest it. Is there such thing as a wood hamburger? Conclusion. While cows produce the most methane gas, overall termites produce the most methane gas for their size. Perfume or la stink. Have you ever noticed that some of the things that we think are smelly and disgusting seems like perfume to animals? Take dogs, for example. A dog's sense of smell is around 1,000 times more sensitive than a human's, but dogs eat and smell some pretty questionable things like farts and seem to really enjoy it. So why are dogs attracted to things that smell bad? Well, there's lots of theories. No one knows for sure. Moo moo poo poo farting cows. Now we know that termites make more methane gas than any other creature for their size, but cows are still the number 1 methane gas producing fart machines on the planet. Sheep also add a considerable amount of methane gas to the fart and burp pool. Imagine a happy cow standing in a paddock, slowly nibbling on the green grass beneath their hooves. It makes a pretty picture, doesn't it? But while this big-eyed milkshake-making dairy cow blissfully chews her way across a paddock, she's actually having a big effect on the Earth's atmosphere. Here's the reason why. That lovely, super juicy green grass goes in the cow in one end, mouth, then is churned through her stomach with 4 compartments. In the first compartment lives billions of bacteria, which helps the cows digest the grass. But bacteria also produce lots of methane gas, which is why a cow burps and fart so much. In fact, scientists now think more methane gas comes out of a cow's burps than it does its farts. Hey, that's a great name for a rock band, the Burping Bovines. Like the old saying says, up, up and away. Once the methane gas is burped or farted out of the cow, it floats slowly up into the atmosphere. Now, it's natural to have some methane gas along with other gases in the atmosphere. These gases act like a blanket around the Earth, trapping in the heat from the sun and keeping the Earth nice and warm. But when the amount of gases gets too high, the blanket becomes too thick and the planet heats up. This is called global warming. Think back to our happily grazing cow. Do you think she knows she might be damaging the Earth's atmosphere and contributing to global warming? I think not. Miss Moo probably has no idea that her gaseous methane releases are even happening. To prove my point, here is some dialogue taken from Miss Moo in her paddock. Miss Moo, burp. Oh, pardon, Moo. I just love this juicy green grass. So fresh and green. So malicious. This feels much better. Moo. Now, what's that smell? I can smell something, but I can't see it. It couldn't possibly be from Moo. I wonder where the smell goes. It's amusing, really. Burping, fighting cows aren't the only things that contribute to global warming. Pollution from cars, burning coals, aeroplanes, air cons, heaters, and even old rubbish all play a part too. Although scientists now believe that the average burping, bottom rumbling cow can produce the same amount of pollution as a single car. No one or nobody has ever taken to driving a cow. Moo moo poo poo facts. A single cow produces between 100 to 200 litres of methane a day. Methane is around 23 times more effective at trapping heat in the Earth's atmosphere than carbon dioxide. There are estimated 1.5 billion cows in the world. India has the most cows in the world, an estimated 281 million. Australia has almost 30 million cows. If you feed cows clover and alfalfa instead of grain, it will reduce the methane in the burps and farts by around 25%. Cows spend up to 8 hours of their day eating. Cows often regurgitate their food, bring it back into their mouths to chew it again. This is called chewing the cud, and it helps with their digestion. Moo moo poo poo trivia. Apparently, a group of American scientists are working on a way to convert the methane from cow burps and farts into usable power. They've invented a device which traps the methane coming out of cow's mouth and bottom and store it in a giant gas cylinder. The methane can then be used to power machinery such as tractors. Now that's what I call a moo moo poo poo power. The top 10 cattle countries. So obviously India is number 1, then Brazil, China, USA, Europe, Argentina, Australia, Mexico, and South Africa. Moo moo hoo hoos, cow jokes. Why does a milking stool have only 3 legs? Because the cow has the udder. Why don't cows have any money? Because the farmer milks them dry. What do you call a grumpy cow? Moody. What do you call cows? What do cows like? Where do cows like to live? New Zealand, Morocco, and the moon. What did the bull say to the cow? I'm very attracted to moo. Moo entry. Little birdie flying high, drops a message from the sky. Angry farmer wipes his eye. Jolly good job, cows don't fly. Fishy farting, sea creatures that blow bottom bubbles. As we know, any animal that has a stomach and intestine or guts can fart. So, of course, fish and other marine creatures with guts have the ability to do fishy farts. But fishy farts are different from human farts. Human farts come from swallowing air and gas created in the intestines after eating and then pop out through the rear end only. Otherwise, it's just a burp. For most fish, the gas creates after they eat just combines with their poo. So fish poo is the only thing that pops out of their rear ends. Fish poo. However, there are some kind of fish, like the sand tiger shark, that do blow bubbles out of their rear ends. Blowing out these bubbles, which are mostly made up of air, helps the fish stay at a certain level underwater. And then there's the herring. Not only does the herring blow bubbles out of its fishy bottom, but scientists have recorded a farting sound like it does. One scientist said it sounded like a high-pitched raspberry. Scientists believe the farting sound is a way for herring to communicate with each other. Hello, herring friend. Are you out there? Whale tail explosion farting mink. Have you ever wondered what a whale fart looks like? Well, you don't have to wonder anymore. There's a photo. Some scientists got a stinky surprise one day when they were studying minke whales in the Arctic. The scientists have been following a pod of whales in a research ship. They were lucky or unlucky enough to be close to one minke whale at the exact moment it let rip. All the scientists said the smell was extremely stinky. Imagine a whale-sized gas explosion. Ew. Most ran to get away, but one scientist was brave enough to stay long enough to get a photo. Snap. The whale's butt blast was recorded forever. Fishy fact file. A group of jellyfish is called a smack. Fish are cold-blooded, which means their body temperature changes when the temperature around them changes. A group of fish is called a school. A jellyfish has no brain. Fish exist even before dinosaurs. Scientists think they have been on Earth for around 450 million years. Some fish, like herrings, use fart as a way to communicate with each other. Farty funnies, salty sea shanty jokes. What type of whales fly? Pilot whales. Why is it easy to weigh fish? Because they have scales. Why do you call a singing fish a tuna fish? Farts and physics. Farts and physics. Albert Einstein was one of the most famous physicists who ever lived. In his lifetime, he developed something called the theory of relativity, and he also, you guessed it, farted. So did Sir Isaac Newton, Galileo, Michael Faraday, and every other physicist who ever lived. Farting and physics go hand in hand, or bottom in bottom. That's because farting is not just a bodily function, it's also a process that follows many of the rules of physics, such as decibel, density, momentum, pressure, and speed. That's right, all of the above are involved in the production and expulsion of a bottom boo-boo. If he'd had the time, I'm sure Einstein would have developed a formula for farting, something related to subatomic stinky particles and their behavior under extreme pressure, perhaps. A fart is a buildup of gas, as we know. As soon as you eat something, your digestive system starts contracting. These contractions help move the food and swallow air through your body, from your mouth down to your stomach and then through your intestines. When there is enough gas in your intestine, the pressure builds up and the gas is forced out through the nearest opening, your butt. The result is what we call a fart. So let's take a look at this. Let's look at these physics words again. Decibel. A decibel is a way of measuring sound or how loud something is. Farts can be loud or soft or make no noise at all, like a silent but deadly. Apparently, there was a man in Texas who won a competition for having the loudest fart. His fart was measured at 168 decibel, which is almost as loud as the sound of a jackhammer. Okay, next one is density. Density is a word which describes the weight of something compared with its size. Imagine you had two 1 litre drink bottles. If you filled one drink bottle up with water and left the other one full of air, which one would be heavier? The one with water, of course. That's because water has a higher density than air. A fart is a mixture of gas like air, so it has around the same density as air. Momentum. As the gas in your digestive system moves through your intestine, they pick up momentum until they finally pop out of your bottom as a fart. Pressure. Fart gases can build up inside our intestines, a bit like air inside a balloon. This creates an increase in pressure. The only way to release the pressure is to let one rip. Speed. When a fart leaves your body, it is moving at a speed of around 30 centimeters per second or around 1 kilometer per hour. F because two jokes. What do you call a man who lets one rip while rolling down a hill? Momentum. What is the sharpest thing in the world? A fart, because it goes through your pants and doesn't leave a hole. What did the big fart say? The small fart. You little stinker. If your bottom is a universe, where does the universe end? The black hole. What does fart mean in physics terms? F equals frequency, A acceleration, R rotation, T time. Fart drafting. Bad wind. Drafting happens when the bike rider travels in a tight bunch. The rider behind the first rider gets to save energy because there is less wind resistance. In a way, they are getting pulled or sucked along by the first bike rider. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you fart, the smell seems to follow you around even when you try to move away? Stop following me. Well, I call that fart drafting. This has happened to all of us at one time or another. You walk into a room, look around, and whew, you release a butt bomb. But no matter which corner of the room you run to, the gassy egg smell follows you. Fart drafting happens because when you move, you create something called a slipstream or airstream behind you. When you let one rip, the gas is pulled along on the slipstream, so it literally follows you like a bad wind. Being indoors in a lift or a narrow corridor will increase the chance of fart drafting happening to you. So if you do happen to let one go in an enclosed space, let's get ready to run like crazy. No, bike drafting is not allowed in most triathlon competitions. If someone is caught doing it, he or she can be disqualified. Lucky, the same rules don't apply for fighting or drafting. If you do happen to let one rip in an enclosed space, just hold your nose and get Get out of there as soon as you can. Once you get into an open space, the fart smell should spread out and fade away.